Three-prong swap time. So here's the cable I always use. Nice gray color. If you're curious, it is a Innovera heavy-duty extension cord. And then obviously all you got to do is just snip this end here and then strip it to get the 3 wires out of it, and then you're good to go. So let's go ahead and do that. So I think what I'm going to do is just heat shrink this end here just to make it a bit more, a bit nicer looking than trying to get a perfect cut all the way around. I think we'll just heat shrink it. So that looks better than having just kind of a cut on the end, and then we'll just kind of have that pop right through there, and that should be good to go. So let this cool for a second, and then we'll prep this little guy. And just like that. So we'll do the ground last here. Let's get these first ones going, and actually we'll go ahead and disconnect. So we've got these 2 primaries from the power transformer, one going to the fuse, one going to the switch. We'll remove the one going off of the fuse. We'll connect that to the neutral, and we'll connect the hot to the tip here, and then from the tip or from the sleeve, it'll go over to the switch, and the primary connected to the switch will remain there. I've done a whole video detailing that in much more detail. Check it out on my channel. Before I forget, take the fuse out. We'll actually reuse this wire to go from here to the switch. So we'll keep that there. We'll remove this lead, the primary, off of the fuse sleeve. There we go. So again, this will be connected to the neutral. Remove the solder so I can see the holes on these for easier connections. So the neutral we will have shorter for sure. The hot wire will be kind of our barometer of how long we need this ground wire here, the earth connection, because you always want this to be longer than the other 2. It's right about there. So I'm going to go ahead and tin just the very tip of it. Just to hold it together. And we'll cut off the excess for sure, but I want to be able to bend it around without all the strands coming undone. Perfect. The neutral will be cut quite short as well. It'll be going directly to here and just heat shrunk together with this one. So let's grab some heat shrink. Looks like this should be a good size. Let's go and join these 2 wires together. Nice and solid. Let that cool down quickly and then go over like that. Grab our heat gun. All right, so now it's tucked under there. You won't even see it. So now all we got to do is connect. So this is disconnected. We can just run this, and we'll probably just connect it over here just so it's out of the way. This is not being used for anything. Perfect. Perfectly all hidden. Now we'll grab our original cloth wire, and we're going to run it from here over to the switch. Let's throw our fuse back in here. And now we're just running this wire to right here on the power switch. And just to recap, I'll try and show it. Tucked under here, you've got the hot going to the fuse tip, fuse sleeve going to the switch. You've got the neutral going to the other end of the primary. The other end of the primary is here. So one to the neutral, one to the switch, and then the ground we'll do right here to the chassis. Let's go ahead and switch over to our chassis iron, the big dog, and start cleaning this area. And as far as how much I can cut off from this, it has to be longer than what we just cut off here. So as long as it's anywhere in this range, we're good. So we'll probably do something along these lines, tuck it under the heater wires here, and go something along these lines to right about here. That's what I'm thinking. So it's nice and out of the way in a solid connection. So we can go ahead and just cut this and start there while it's heating up, roughly like this. And then we will solder the connection right here. So it's nice and out of the way. Nothing's going to get in the way of this bolt right here. Nothing's going to get in the way of this bolt. And I still have the room with the big chassis iron to actually reach right here. So that's the goal. So to clean it, we're going to use some isopropyl. All right, that looks pretty good. Now let's hit it with some naphtha. Really make that area nice and clean, which it is. And then we are, last but not least, going to go ahead and score the metal here. And I like to typically use a flathead screwdriver if I can find it. It's got a fairly sharp edge, and I kind of just do a hash pattern. And the reason you do this is just to get a really solid connection to the chassis where you have something for it to grip onto the solder. I like to do it until I can kind of feel a texture in the metal to really show there's something there for it to grip onto, which I do feel. So that looks pretty good to me. Don't need a ton. And with that, we'll go ahead and clean it one more time with isopropyl. Just get any of the last little metal shavings and flakes out of the way. And with that, we can go ahead and tin this now. So now we need to try and position this so that it kind of stays put on its own. And I always find this the hardest part by far of doing this. Now what I'm going to do first is just go ahead and add some solder to the chassis with the big iron to get our foundation set, and then we will add the wire on top and hit it again and kind of repeat the process until we're really happy with it. Sweet, so now we've got a nice, really clean little bead there, and that'll set us up for success. So now we just want to kind of position the wire on top of it and try and get it to be pinned down. Let me switch this to a flathead. So what I'm going to try and do is just have this static weight just kind of pinning it down a little bit so that it's not enough to actually damage the insulation. Because we don't want to do that. We just want it to hold it in place while we add the wire and solder. So let's just center it roughly like that. That looks really good. So now I just got to be very, very careful and very, very accurate. All right, that looks really good to me. We're going to let that cool for a second. I've been trying to get better at emulating kind of more the drop. You can see it's kind of more like a drop versus a wide spread. And I'm pretty happy with that, actually, how that came out. So we're going to let that dry, and I'm pretty sure that'll be a super solid connection. I say dry, we're going to let that cool. Yeah, that's solid. Awesome, okay. So now let me go ahead and switch it to autofocus so I can show you guys I can walk through everything with you. So here's the ground connection. You can see it's just a nice little teardrop. And then if we go over here, I'll try and point it out to you guys. So this is the hot, again, from the 3-prong to the fuse tip. The fuse sleeve goes to the switch. The other end of the switch is one of these black primaries to the power transformer. The other black primary is heat shrunk. Just barely see it there with the neutral. Totally clean, can barely even see anything. The only thing you can really see is this green here, but there's nothing you can really do about that. You'd have to, I don't know, maybe you could heat shrink the entire thing black, but I think a lot of people would get upset if you did that. But yeah, that's done. We've got a ton of work done today. It's too late now for me to fire it up and check the Astron, so we're going to save that for a I guess this would be a part 3, I guess. When we fire it up, test it, we'll have to check the bias. We also plan to do an adjustable bias, but first I just want to see what it is with the stock resistor, so then I can kind of evaluate whether we need to change this resistor into something else plus the adjustable bias. So we'll do that down the line, but otherwise we're in a really good spot here. Very, very happy with how this is coming out. So awesome. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Again, if you want to see all the work of stuff in the caps, check out my live stream. Subscribe if you want to catch the next live stream and hang out and chat. And give the video a thumbs up if you like it. And until next time, see ya.